In this video, guys, I'm going to show you all the steps it takes to make a 3D print from beginning to end. So stay tuned.
Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? In today's video, I'm going to show you guys everything it takes to 3D print. We'll start off first at the computer in my Slicer software, and I'll show you guys everything that entails, and then we'll move on over to the printer. So let's get to it. Okay, so here we are. First, I'm going to start off on the myminifactory.com page here, and we'll just go up into the search menu, and I'll show you Night Customs. That's what we're going to be printing here. I'm going to be doing this Canyon piece, this Canyon cooler. So I already got all the files, but you would just go to download here and you can download the file, and then you'll get it onto your desktop and you unzip the file, and then those files will go into the folder, and then you can move on to your Slicer software. So we're going to move on into that, and I will show you what to do in there. Okay, so here we are. This is the Slicer software that I use. This is Cura by Ultimaker. I don't know, I just did a search. This one came up highly recommended, so I chose this one. So here you can see this is my profile for my Ender 3. Now this is where in the beginning you're going to have some problems. You can see here Ender 3, Ender number 2. So I have a few different settings here, and you can go to here and select different ones, and right here custom, recommended. You just go to custom, and then you can adjust everything you see here. This is how you select what shows up here on the side, and this is just the basic. You will need to go to the show all settings if you want to see everything, so you can go through some of the main things. Now I had to do a lot of research to find all this stuff out, so I'll share some of that info for the beginners, because what this video is aimed to is beginners, because I'm very new to this 3D printing. This here, you can go to grids and lines. I've seen some people to say do lines. I've been doing that, haven't had any problems. This is something you want to check too, is the optimized wall printing order. You check the box. A lot of these other boxes come checked already. Print thin walls, this is an important one you want to check. I saw that was something that wasn't checked before, so this stuff's already checked because I've gone through. So this is my profile that I use for everything. Infill density, this is an important one here. You can see I have 20%. You could lower this number depending upon what you're doing. I think for this print I'm actually going to go 20. I want it to be pretty solid, but you could bump it down to 10. I don't want to click on that. This is another one, infill pattern. I got it set to lines. You could do grids. Now the major one that you're gonna want to do, oh yeah, here before we get to the major one, temperature, I just run at 203. I found just a few degrees higher helps. And the initial bed layer, I like to start off at 205, and then it goes down. So that's something I changed. And then this here is the major thing that wasn't in this profile when I first started, is this enable retraction, and you have to set the distance. You got to bump it up from what it comes to when you first check it to 10 millimeters. I've seen that is what helped my prints, because I didn't have this box checked, so that is something you want to make sure that you have checked. And I can't remember everything else. There's a lot of technical stuff in here. I just did some research and found a bunch of things that I could do. So that is all the stuff that you want to have checked in all these boxes. It looks like a lot, but you really don't have to go through. The hardest part is finding what you need. And here is a section right here, support, touching build plate. That's something I have checked. That seems to be working fine for me. Depends what you're doing. You might not have to do that. And then the last thing before you start printing is the build plate adhesion tab. Skirt, brim, raft. For these parts, a skirt works fine. If you're going to do something tall and kind of complex, I find to use a raft has worked for the prints that I have done. But obviously this is just a beginner's perspective. I don't know everything. I'm just explaining things that work for me. Okay, so next we're going to open up the new project. No, that's not what I want to click on. Next we're going to open up a new project. We're going to open the files, and they're on my desktop here. And this is the folder. We'll open that. Base, open. Okay, here's the base, and we'll open and we'll print the lid as well. And lid, this is a 2-piece deal here, so we can click on this, we can move it any way we want. See, these are your axes, so we can create a G-code. That's what you have to do in this program, is create a G-code. This is the STL file that you are seeing on my screen here. So we spin this around, you can see everything. You can move it wherever you want. I like to try to keep everything somewhat in the middle. Everything looks good here. So once you get everything where you want to have it on your plate, you come down to this button here to prepare. Click on that, and now it says slicing. See, 3 hours 20 minutes to make each one of these parts. Now, just to show you, we will come up to the fill density and bump it down to 10%. So let me find that tab again. Here it is, infill density. So let's lower this to 10 and reslice it and see if it bumps down the time. See, 2 hours 57 minutes. So not a huge difference. I'm going to go back up to 20 because I want these pieces to be pretty solid, and we'll see how that does. So we're going to prepare that again. Slicing. Alright, 3 hours 20 minutes. So now that that is all set, all we have to do is save it to an SD card. So okay, so now we are going to save this to the SD card. You have these two options: save to file, or save to removable drive, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we got our SD card in, so now we can save it. I like to go to save to file. Click on save to file. And I'm just going to type in Canyon Cooler G code just so I know, but you can see here this is G code as well, and save. And then we will just move that file from the desktop to my SD card, and now that's in my SD card here. Eject, and now we're ready to move to the printer. Okay, so here we are at the printer, and I got my SD card, so I'm just going to go ahead stick that into the slot. It's just over here on this particular printer. And first thing you're going to want to do is level your bed. So you go into your menu here on this printer, go to prepare. I like to go to auto home. So now this is going to move, go to the auto home position. And I'm just going to use this piece of paper here to level the bed. I will go under the nozzle, move around, adjust my little dials clockwise or counterclockwise to achieve what I want. Okay, and then I gotta go to prepare again, and we're gonna disable the steppers so we can move everything. And we'll move our head over, and we'll get our piece of paper underneath the nozzle. Yeah, see, it's not going, so I'll go counterclockwise to lower the bed so I can get the piece of paper off. Okay, so now we're underneath the nozzle. So when I slide this piece of paper, I can feel the nozzles just grabbing it, and it's grabbing it a little bit too hard. So I'm just gonna move this around. Okay, that feels good. And I keep the paper right underneath the nozzle, and I'll move to this side. Yeah, see, now when I go to pull this paper, it is holding it. So I'm gonna go counterclockwise, lefty loosey, righty tighty, until I get this piece of paper just grabbing. Now, this is going to take you a little time in the beginning to learn how you want that paper and exactly what you need. So for me, I like this. It's just grabbing. Me personally, I found that if it's just grabbing it a little bit, that's good. You don't want it too loose. It's got to have just a tiny bit of tension on it, and I think it prints better that way. So now we'll move over, get this piece of paper back underneath there, hopefully. Okay. That side's definitely too high, I can tell you. So let's get this piece of paper underneath. It's a pain in the butt. I'll go back over here. Okay. That's why I like to keep the paper underneath there, because it's always hard to get it back under. And that's just so tight. So we're going to counterclockwise. Ooh, that's pretty nice. Okay. And that side's not too bad. And so now I'm going to go around and do all the other sides first. But something I want to show you about the bed is for my bed adhesion. I did some research, and what I found people said was the best was to use some glue and do the glue on there, and then you use your alcohol and some paper towels and you rub the glue, and it makes the bed nice and sticky. So before I print, what I do is I take my paper towel and I take my alcohol and I'll clean my bed. So I should have did this first because you don't want to be rubbing your bed after you leveled it. But you can see when I do this, you can kind of see the glue. You can see some of these other places, and the glue is like still on there. It's weird, and it really makes it sticky when you rub your alcohol on it again. So I found that technique works really good, and I haven't had any bed adhesion problems with the glue stick method. So if you're just starting out, I definitely recommend the glue stick method. So it's very sticky right now. Might be a pain actually to redo this bed, but let's see what we got. Okay, yeah, see, now it's got to come up a little bit, because once you move other spots, it changes everything. And I mean, when you're moving that, you're just slightly moving it. And on this printer, I have heard that the beds can be warped. So they're like this. So in the middle, it's a little lower, and you can see how my paper doesn't grab there, and it barely grabs here. and it's never gonna grab that great in the middle. So I'm in the middle right here. So if your corner's all right, I think your prints will be all right. Now, I will say this, my prints are not tall, intricate, or anything like that, so I haven't had any problems. So for me, everything has been good. I just want to say that because it definitely does not grab in the middle on mine, but will grab on my edges. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my last corner here and see what I got. And see, now it's grabbing tight. So you definitely are going to want to do this a few times until you get it to where you think it is grabbing the paper on all four corners equally. And I'll move a couple little positions and see kind of how it's grabbing and where it's grabbing too much. And that gives you a good indication. So right here, it's just grabbing just a tiny bit too much. A little more. And that's good right there. And I'll check that last corner and it got tight. Okay. Okay, that's good. Okay, so next, after we do that, me personally, I always just go to auto home. I like everything to just go back to the home position. And you can see my nozzle's not digging into anything or anything like that. Now that our bed is all level, we're going to move on to the print. So we know we got our SD card in there. I'm going to go prepare. I'm going to go preheat PLA and just double check, make sure I got enough filament, which I should. This stuff's been lasting a while. Make sure everything is all good. And now the nozzle is going to start heating up. Now, as that nozzle gets hot, it will drip a little, and I just use these little cutters that the printer came with, and I will just cut those off. This is a wrench to tighten some of the bolts that are on this. When you assemble your printer, you want to make sure everything is moving really nice, and this is just the included wrench that came with it to do that. And like I said, I use the glue stick method and alcohol for my bed adhesion. So these are the only other two things that I have for my 3D printing setup. So you saw what I did on the computer. It comes to here, this is heating up. My nozzle's gonna get hot. I just like it to get a little hot, fully hot to 185 first, and then I select my print because then it's gonna warm up the bed, but then my nozzle's already hot, and I don't know, that's just kind of the method that I use. So this thing is gonna heat up, and then we'll get to the print. Okay, the printer is just about hot here, and it will start printing as soon as it gets to temperature. So first the printer is gonna lay a line towards the back and then to the front, and then it will move over and start to print. So it just kind of gets everything coming out of the nozzle, which is real nice. So here it goes. Yeah, you seem to have a clogged nozzle, to be honest with you. Let's see what happens. Oh, there it goes. Okay, there it goes. That stuff was not looking right, but it's doing good. So it's just laying down what they call the skirt that you saw in the slicer program. And once it gets the skirt down, it will start to print the parts. Yeah, see, I'm definitely having a little bit of issues with something there. So in the beginning, you always want to watch the print, make sure it's going good, especially if you don't have a lot of experience like me. Okay, so here it goes. It's starting to make the cooler now. It's got the skirt done. Everything's looking good. Once you see your first couple of layers, you're going okay. You're pretty good. See, it's leaving this, and I'm not liking it. I'm not sure what's going on. So hopefully we don't have any problems here. But that's why I'm going to sit here, watch everything, make sure it's going good. So far everything is looking good. Alright, so now I'm just going to let this thing print, and in 3 hours and 27 minutes, hopefully, it's all done. We'll see what time the printer actually says when it's done, but let's see what this thing can do. Guys, the print is all done, so let's pop this thing off and give it an inspection. Just gonna use my little putty knife here. The bed is cooling down. It's 55 degrees now. Total print time 3 hours 45 minutes, so it took a little longer than advertised on the slicer program. So I can probably, yep, just grab it, pull it right off. Wow, it's pretty big. See, that glue stick really adheses it to the bed. There we go. Alright. So we can cut this off with my cutters. Alright. Everything looks pretty nice. This is a big print, I tell you. This is a big print. This thing is huge. It says Canyon on it. So then, let's see. Oh, okay, so that's some support. It generated some supports. See, now, this is some stuff I'm not sure. Like, I don't know why it did that. I think because I have touching the build plate, so it generates the supports on the bottom. Not 100% sure. So, I'll have to clean these up. Yes, it is. Okay. Let's see how she fits. Oh, real nice. Real nice. Definitely going to do some sanding so everything fits. You can see it's not sliding down into there. But that'll just take a tiny bit of sanding around everything and cleaning it up. But that is it. That is everything that it takes to 3D print from beginning to end. You see how I did it. You see what I ended up with. I'm a real noob at this. I've just been starting this now for the past month really or so. I've been doing it. And I've learned a lot. Pieces aren't perfect by any means, but they're really great for Scale RC. For me, all this stuff has been just a great value. I think it's worth it if you want to print scale accessories or anything like that. So 3D printing is really cool. I've had a lot of fun with it, and I definitely recommend it for you. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, hit that like button, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm out.